Hello and welcome to our system check for the Burning Wheel. This is basically our campaign wrap-up for our Burning Wheel campaign, and we're just going to be going through trait vote and then reviewing kind of what we liked about the system and what we don't like. So trait vote, basically at the end of like a campaign arc, all of the characters in the GM are supposed to get together and kind of talk about what traits each character embodied and then vote on a couple of those per character. And that character will basically add those to their trait repertoire. You can also vote off a trait, so if any of you are unhappy with your traits, you can suggest that, or I'll suggest something and we can see if it makes sense to take that off of the list. And it's basically like a nice little wrap-up bundle to make the characters feel like whole and complete and like they progressed their story. So we'll start with that and just jump right into it. I know Logan and John have lists of traits, so if one of you want to kick it off with some...
Yeah, we're supposed to go character by character.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
So who do we want to do
don't
first?
vote until the end.
Oh.
Okay. That's a lot to keep track of.
Okay.
So let's start with Mia, because Sean's not ready.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So,
I'm ready now. They're very rude.
I also like that this stream is just visual confirmation that you're the odd one out in the group.
Okay, yeah, whatever. I'm sorry, Mia was the protagonist of the whole entire arc.
You're up there in your forest, and we're down here in the city.
So for Mia, they start off pretty accurate, and then they get a little rude as they go on. So bottomless stomach.
Yes.
Oh, that's fun.
Cry wolf. She was always going on about these zombies, and they weren't a real problem until the very end, but boy, did she never shut up about it. Dexterity of the cat.
Oh, that's
Like that.
awesome. I love that one.
Fanatical devotion. Obsessed and temperamental.
Sure. I like all of those.
Both of those, both obsessed and temperamental.
Yeah. The ones I had written down for Mia are colorful, pretty decent, pretty bland, determined. That's pretty accurate.
The nice version of obsessive.
Yes, of course. Distracted.
She didn't already have that?
No, surprisingly.
No.
What the heck?
Disturbed. If
I
she
do have that.
She
Oh,
does
you do.
have that
I
one.
missed that.
It's too accurate.
It's too accurate. Then I think the remaining, let me make sure they're not already on there. Dope, cool.
Oh, I guess we should list what we already have, probably.
Okay, sure. Go through if
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
them.
yeah.
If we haven't said them enough at the beginning of every single
Sure,
stream.
let's go through our bits.
As a refresher, Mia has earthen, devout, folksy wisdom, hoarding, disturbed, a little crazy, vitriolic, and then the rest are
Those still
more
count,
like
though.
magic.
They still count. Also, all of the ones I proposed,
they're gifted, dreamer, and touch of ages.
I feel like all of mine are just taking your traits and moving them a little more into the crazy side.
Well, and that's the remaining of mine are literally psychotic, and then loner, and taking that a little bit crazier is pariah.
Wow, yeah.
So,
Well, pariah makes sense.
kind of, yeah.
Because she did burn part of a city down.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my list for Mia.
What do you,
Okay.
yeah.
Shall we do?
Any-
Venus?
I don't have anything to add.
You don't have anything to add?
I think you guys have a comprehensive list.
You really broke Mia down to her essential parts.
Yeah,
Okay, do we want to go Alphonse next?
sure.
Oh, I'm so excited. So Alphonse, his existing character traits are smart, geometric, rabble-rouser, gifted, practical, passionate, forced smile, lavish taste, and he is no longer evasive about what happened to the headmistress, which is exciting.
Finally.
Finally.
Right, yes. I would love to propose that people consider getting rid of lavish taste, doesn't come up ever, and or geometric, which sounds like smart, but it's actually using geometry for things.
Oh,
Oh, what?
Yes. Yes. Double check me on this. Let me keep. But,
Yeah, go.
But yeah, so I'm excited to hear what people have.
my list for Alphonse is bookworm,
Great.
esoteric,
Hmm.
extremely bitter,
Okay.
meticulous,
All right.
obstinate, querulous, and you should know better than that.
I love
love
that
it.
that's a trait.
I need to read the text on that, but that's
It's just a
great.
character trait.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it just says you should know better.
All right.
I don't know if it's like you should know better than that or
I feel
you
that other
should know
people
better,
should.
yeah.
Right.
But either way, it's appropriate.
Interpretation.
Yeah,
I
I feel
think.
like it's pointed on the out to another person.
Cool.
All right. So my ideas for Alphonse are fastidious, weak-willed, and kind of conjoining that, spineless,
Oh my god.
idealistic, and then perfectionist.
Oh,
All right.
Well, yeah.
it ended good.
Yep, that took a big dip down the middle.
Should have been meaner to Mia.
I embodied Mia's anger for a moment.
Is there like a pacifist one?
Yeah,
I'm
gosh.
there has to be.
I feel
He's
like
like
there has
jumping
to
into the fray, yet he avoided every fight.
Pacifist, he always came in with a glowing sword.
Yeah, but he
true.
never did anything with
He
it.
was
I'll
off.
stab Bertrand.
You were off
Maybe
kilter.
we should give
You
him
were off
something
kilter.
for like intimidating or
Yeah, I think it's
Aura
something.
of fear.
Ooh.
That one's a pretty dope one.
I don't know if he's got an
commanding
aura of fear.
presence would be a very nice one. To
Artful dodger.
get. I don't know about that.
He dodged a chair.
What do we want? Like
That is
intimidating?
true. This is you. What do you want?
What do we
Stinky.
want? Stanky.
Problems.
Afraid of cheese is a trait. I just
Intense
wanna bring that up.
hatred.
I did see that one.
It just might work.
I mean, you know
We
what?
can make someone tongueless, and then Venus can constantly give them a tongue.
Oh my god, what was the name of that spell again?
Open wide and say off.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Insomniac could be good.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Baneful stare.
I don't know about that.
Baleful stare.
Oh. I could read bad egg. That's Alphonse if I've ever
I'm
heard
gonna
it.
put
If he had stuck with his really religious bent from session 1, I really like the Joan of Arc one.
but he
I don't
didn't
wanna
do
move,
that.
but I didn't stick with it, and I
No.
don't want to do that furthermore.
Yeah.
I did
Give you
Or
Barry
maybe
or Watch.
Night Owl is better than Insomniac.
certainly better than
Mhm.
that. Did anyone have on their list ambitious?
I was still upset you didn't let me
Don't you already?
use,
No, you don't.
Your ambition was not
Not obvious.
not.
The secret ambition.
night-sighted and near owl.
That
I
was
still want that as a trait.
One day.
One day.
All right. I think that wraps up Alphonse.
Cool.
Apostate.
Arcane.
sure.
Arrogant? Ooh.
Yeah.
Aggressive?
Not agreeable.
Arrogant would
Is
be
there an
nice.
unagreeable?
Probably disagreeable. Has anyone, side note, kept a running list of all of these?
I'm writing down the ones I like.
Okay.
There we go. That's your job.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. We want to move on to Venus.
Boy, do we.
Yes, we
So
do.
what are Venus's
do.
current traits?
Venus's current traits are forced smile, passionate, lavish taste, gifted, catamite, dangerous, misunderstood, and hard-hearted.
Really, just a wonderful person.
Yeah.
Sean, I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, I don't have a ton for Venus.
Ah,
Oh.
I have flamboyant, compulsive liar, and indecisive.
I like all of those.
Mainly because I think compulsive liar is like a requirement.
yeah.
Pretty much. That fits in line. I was less nice and more descriptive. Dishonest,
Okay.
secretive,
Uh-huh.
treacherous,
Okay.
It's good.
evasive.
Yes.
Some of the ones that are not related to that are aloof. Pretty reasonable. Oh, two-faced. I missed that one. Not in the book.
Oh, that one's a good one.
Narcissistic doesn't feel quite
Yes.
right,
It doesn't.
but there's something there.
There is, yeah.
There's something there, but he likes his
Self-obsessed.
family more than himself.
Right. family man.
I'm a
weird
family man.
Except for his half or stepbrother. Yes, family man. I think
What
I
is
think
that?
Mama's boy is more accurate.
Isn't it there like a
Oh,
word for
Mama's
that?
boy.
Like, it's like Oedipius.
Oedipal has to do with your mom, and
Oedipal.
I would definitely go for that vote.
Oedipal. Isn't that
Oh.
like when you're in love with your mother?
Yes.
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 And then the final one was actually a nice trait idea for
Oh.
Venus, which is grand, because he likes to pretend that he's
Grandiose.
grand. Yeah,
Grandiose, whatever, however you're supposed to say that.
Grandiose sounds way worse than grand.
It does, but that's more accurate. It's just not in the book.
Evasive, treacherous. I don't like treacherous.
Well, Two-Faced,
Well, you're
certainly.
not supposed to necessarily like them.
That's
Let's
true.
see. I like flamboyant. I like compulsive liar. I like.
I mean, that was
I
your
mean, that's
instinct
literally
for...
what one of your instincts is,
I know.
Double down.
along
Yeah.
with evasive.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, yeah, whatever. Two-faced. I sort of like. Flamboyant. He is, but he's not.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he is.
Not to the point that it's a central character trait.
Yeah, like
Right.
that's what's his face. Delfino is flamboyant.
Yes. Checks out. Come to find out he was the prince.
Whatever. Dishonest. I don't know if he's dishonest.
Just
You
untrustworthy.
lie all the time? Isn't that kind of how that works?
Oh, I like prone to exaggeration.
That's
Oh, that's good.
That's just a Logan trait, not a Venus.
Yeah, but it came through.
I don't know. If we were gonna pick dishonest versus evasive, I would pick evasive.
Yeah,
Or
I
like
think evasive is better too.
secretive. Like he doesn't purposefully lie, he just doesn't want to tell the truth.
I can see that.
sure.
But I do like compulsive liar. I just don't know if it's gonna like double up on.
Well, you can just change your instinct.
Yeah.
Oh wow, you're
More
right.
character growth.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, compulsive liar. The character cannot help himself. The lies come unbidden and never ending.
That sounds unfamiliar to me.
Channeling
When caught in a
Redman.
lie, I double down and deflect.
Oh, and you know what? I had written down for both of Venus and Mia, impulsive.
Yeah. Just because they were
Yeah.
more impulsive than Alphonse, though.
Oh,
I think is
sure.
what.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And part of that factors into compulsive liar and flighty, psychotic.
Can I
pariah.
make up a trait roadblock for Alphonse?
How is he a roadblock?
Just
Because
say-
little Sean just wanted to run and you were
my
always
God.
putting the brakes on him.
Hey, I kept up with him in
You
that
wrote.
one physical race.
You did.
Took a fate point, but you know what? Heck it. Any others for...
I want to add trusting to Alphonse as
Oh.
on his list.
Despite the fact that he said he was paranoid.
Despite the
literally-
instinct.
At the
Yeah,
end, it
I
was
know, I
like,
think
I,
he
don't
was
trust
trusting.
anybody except for Mia.
But do you see what he did with Bertrand?
It's true.
He trusted Mia, and then he trusted Bertrand, which is why
I
I
think
chose idealistic. for
Trusting
him.
as a trait is not a good thing.
I feel like
Right.
idealistic would
I
be
would
better.
agree with
Idealistic is
idealistic.
Yeah, because he was holding on to the idea that Bertrand still had good in him.
Yeah, and that could also fall under Bertrand. You should know better.
You should know better. As the head of the church, you should know better.
And I wanted to add paranoid to Mia, I think, as a suggestion.
Hmm.
Paranoid. Was she paranoid?
I think a little. I think that's close to something. Maybe mistrustful.
It's like a combination of
She
the
was in a
mistrustful-
new place.
Yeah, I feel like
completely new
That's
place.
true.
I feel like
Though.
pariah sort of captures all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah, I kind of like pariah a lot.
Dope, cool. Thrilled to have brought it forward.
Okay, does anybody else have anything to add?
There was one that's like unearthly beauty
Oh, yeah, I don't think
Oh.
we get that.
For Mia or Alphonse?
for Venus.
For
For
Mia,
Chester.
obvious. For
For
Chester, I was gonna say.
Chester. Let's make a character sheet for
You
Chester
can
next.
suggest things for yourself. You just can't vote on them.
Oh, okay. Well, do I have a suggestion for myself? I don't think so.
Charismatic.
I'm not putting that for any of us.
No, you all sucked.
We all did real bad.
I would put in ambitious for
Love of the
Alphonse.
horse.
Merciful. I put what's her face out of her misery.
No.
No.
Alphonse should have lost faith.
Kind of. But
Ooh, could I be the killer?
Oh, I think Mia should get exasperated.
Oh, I
That's
do like
pretty
that.
Like,
good.
she's just done with everything. And I feel like that plays into her vitriolic. Like, she gets exasperated and then she gets mad.
Is she jaded?
Maybe a little. Yeah,
Probably a lot.
probably a lot, yeah.
Okay, I'm just
We only
picking
get, how many traits are we doing?
Two each.
I'm just taking one more quick over, making sure we're not missing anything from anybody.
Really good.
Yeah. I think Venus demonstrated humility in the face of his betters.
No.
Okay. It's fine.
I
I'll let
like
that one
he's a
slide.
Jonah, that one. I don't know what that means.
A Jonah?
He's a Jonah.
Oh, he is a Jonah, that one.
No explanation needed.
Yeah,
He's a
it
Jonah.
does. Familiar face for Venus, maybe.
Venus gets around.
That's not bad, actually.
Could we take earthen and make it earthy smell for Mia?
I know, she was not very earthen.
I mean, that's the follow-up. Are there any
Or
traits
devout.
Are there any traits that people want to get rid of or suggest to get rid of for themselves?
I do want to add educated to Alphonse, too.
Oh, thank you.
We do. I think we remove traits after we add traits.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There are
Dreadful.
so many I did not use.
Yeah.
Not that many. You used
I did not
your-
use Folksy Wisdom
Well, no.
at all.
But that's not that many.
Those,
You're vitriolic,
what
you're
what
crazy.
were your Earth and Devout and Folksy Wisdom were the...
They were the,
Yes,
like,
it's the-
racial traits.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, same
From
for me
being
wanting
from
to
the
get
forest.
same for me wanting to get rid of lavish taste.
What did I give the city people? Passionate?
You gave them lavish taste,
Forced smile
And passionate.
and passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Forced Smile came through.
I was gonna vote
A
to get
couple
rid of that
times.
one for me.
Really?
Yeah.
That one came through a
Okay,
few times.
well,
in
we're
the
getting ahead of
conversations.
ourselves again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not seeing any other ones.
You don't want chuffing?
I don't want shuffling.
What about Gerbil Brain? We still haven't given anyone Gerbil Brain.
Chester.
No, Chester is much smarter than a gerbil.
Squirrel brain is better than...
Is
That's
Venus charming or a child prodigy?
No.
No.
I would give him maybe charming, but not child prodigy.
Did he have this one, Born to be King?
No, he didn't.
Delfino. had that.
Delfino did, yeah.
No, that's what I meant, the Delfino.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
Gross. Nope, I don't see any more.
Okay.
What about Know-It-All? We could give that to someone.
I was waiting for it.
To anybody, really.
Anyone at all.
All of us thought we knew it all.
I was convinced it was Stella.
Were you actually?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't
didn't
remember
really
if it
think
was actually
Stella, but
Logan
I
or if
had
I was
no
just in
idea.
character so much so that I'm just such a good method actor.
How are we wrangling up all of our suggested traits?
I think we should pick our...
Pick one to argue for, maybe. Right? So we'll do Mia first.
Yeah, let's start with Mia.
So Sean, you're on the chopping block.
That's fine.
So
What
you
am I-
can
am
you
I
can
doing
argue
anything?
for and against, but you don't get a vote.
Yeah.
It's just us three voting.
Yeah, okay.
It's like Shark Tank.
So we can each maybe pick our favorite, and then of those, we can narrow it down to two.
Mm-hmm.
There were some good ones that I liked.
Yeah.
I think
Are we just-
Mariah is up there.
I feel like we have a few enough people that instead of voting, we can all just...
Agree.
I
Consensus.
feel like we
Yeah.
can just come to a consensus.
So like everyone pick one and then we'll
It's
Or maybe pick 2, so we have
Yeah.
a pool to choose from.
well, and it sounds like there's overlap too,
Yeah.
because Sean's saying Pariah, I'm saying Pariah was a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it sums up a lot of stuff there.
I mean, do we just want to give her Pariah to start with and then discuss the other ones? I also like Dexterity of the Cat.
I do like Pariah.
That's-
I would vote for Pariah top choice.
Yeah, that's good with me too.
Okay,
Cool.
so me and Al have
Okay.
Pariah.
I'm gonna add it to my character sheet,
Wow, oh, that's exciting. Outside of
so
that,
it will never be lost.
right?
Does it have anything under it, like a? Does it actually have an effect?
I don't think so, but I'll look for you.
I feel like it had a paragraph. I don't know if it was just...
Nope, nothing.
No,
it's
it's
just a character trait.
Okay, cool.
But Dexterity of the Cat is not.
Yeah, I like Dexterity of the Cat a lot.
That's
I-
kind of fun because I did all the cat change.
That's the thing. I like it for the cat stuff, but I don't necessarily agree with the dexterity part.
I don't know if it really matches Mia's.
Yeah, I was
Character.
thinking like she spent so long, like it's woven into
cat.
the fiber of her being, you know? There's like a cat back there in her hair.
It's 8
And
and just.
Yeah.
to become a cat.
When she gets really scared or wants to appear bigger, her hair floofs out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Other than
But-
that, I like Temperamental, I think, is my second.
I really liked Exasperated.
Yeah, that's the same vein.
True.
Pretty similar, yeah.
Bottomless Stomach, I still like.
There's
I think I like exasperated more than temperament.
She did have a couple of temperamental moments, though.
Oh my
that
god, yeah,
goes
she
along
did.
with vitriolic.
That's true.
And she played that up pretty well.
Yeah.
Distracted. Does she not have Distracted as a trait?
Isn't that wild?
No, because my disturbed and a little crazy kind of both play into that.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay.
I don't like those because they overlap so much.
Mhm.
So let's give him another one that overlaps with that.
I like Loner, too.
I feel like
But
Loner and
that's same as
Pariah
Pariah.
Yep.
go together.
That's true.
Although Pariah feels like it's not self-imposed, and Loner does feel like this is a personal
Yeah.
choice or a personality choice.
Yeah.
I like them all.
I like... Okay, so I guess everyone pick one more. And then we'll...
I'll vote for Exasperated. I think that one's good.
That's where my head is. Sean, what's your input?
I think exasperated makes a lot of sense.
Okay, yeah. I like it.
Or is there another one? Jaded? That was
That
one
would've
we
been a good
talked
one.
about. I feel like those are similar.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I like Pariah and Exasperated.
Yeah.
That's my final
Okay.
vote.
Yeah.
Same.
There you go.
By me.
Cool.
Moving on to Alphonse.
Terrifying.
If we don't do You Should Know Better Than That, I'm gonna...
No,
go
I
and
really
leave.
want that one.
Really?
Oh my god,
I think
yeah.
we should do idealistic.
I
that
think
works.
Idealistic is really good, too.
Idealistic or esoteric.
But those mean two different things.
He
Or
Sure.
didn't
obstinate.
really pull like knowledge, or constantly pull knowledge that no one knew.
You're right.
True.
Extremely
Yeah.
bitter.
I mean,
It wasn't
I mean,
that bitter,
bookworm
though.
makes
Yeah, but
sense, but
no.
it's like so basic.
Querulous.
that makes it sound like any arguments are kind of petty. And it felt like a lot of the arguments were of some importance. I'm surprised that literally no one listed ambitious. Whether or not it was very apparent to people, like that's in the background, I think everyone saw that.
Yes, bit.
I can
You
see
should know
it,
better than that.
and I know you were aiming for it, but I don't think it came across as a major drive.
Yeah.
Like it was subservient to the fact that you were trying to help stop whatever was happening.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, sure.
like Venus was ambitious. Venus just went to the king to be and tried to set up a marriage.
Sure. We'll get to that point. Don't worry.
So Idealistic?
Idealistic, I do like.
I vote idealistic
Okay, so we'll do that.
because he kept going to the law.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
You should know better. I don't really resonate with that. It's funny, but I don't know why.
Well, what is your suggestion then, Sean?
What do you like?
You had meticulous and fastidious, right?
I
One or-
did
one or
have
both.
fastidious and perfectionist.
Oh, perfectionist.
I feel like
I think meticulous is better than perfectionist.
Meticulous is pretty good.
is there one for like not driven, but like oh my goodness, there's a cat coming up.
Motivated?
Or just like
Or
doesn't stop. Like when he was at her, like I just feel like he
stubborn?
didn't.
Obst-
Stubborn.
Stubborn.
Obstinate. Yeah.
Oh, obstinate.
Unstoppable.
He is unstoppable.
Simultaneously a roadblock and unstoppable.
That's exactly the same thing.
He's an unstoppable roadblock.
If you need to go farther and he's up there, great. If you don't need to go farther, that's awful. So
I think meticulous and obstinate could be good.
because I'll say the idealistic thing, if it's about Bertrand, again, it comes down to family.
That's still
But you also
idealistic.
had like the whole thing with the city guard and
Yeah,
the
sure.
military.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like idealistic and like obstinate or
Yeah.
meticulous.
I think. Which one's better? I like meticulous better.
I was leaning towards obstinate.
What's it gonna be, Logan?
Oh
Because I
god.
feel like he
Here,
came up with an objective and
a
followed it.
give me an argument for one or the other, Sean.
Oh, that's what I just did.
Well, I was trying to tell you to do it, so I didn't hear you.
Okay. I think obstinate makes sense because Alphonse often chose a goal and then followed through on it no matter what.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so
Like even when it was obviously not necessarily the best path or the easiest, he just went for it.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Like,
my
I'm-
argument for meticulous is pretty much the same. Like, once he decided he was going to do something, he did it to completion.
But meticulous, I feel like has
Not
to do
always
more
to
with the fine
completion.
details.
I think I'm gonna go towards obstinate.
Obstinate?
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Idealistic and obstinate.
Cool.
Pariah and exasperate.
had
What
great
a
characters.
happy campaign it's been.
Don't worry, you're up next.
Oh boy.
Okay,
We have
and
some good ones.
Venus.
Oh boy, Venus.
All right.
So many
I
of them
think-
overlapped.
Yes.
I know. We had a very specific kind of mental image
Yes.
of Venus.
Um,
I think we have to do a lying one of some kind.
I think
Mhm.
compulsive
Two-Faced,
liar is the
compulsive
best
liar.
lying one. Although Two-Faced is also good.
Mm-hmm. I don't want you to have both of them be related to lying.
No.
Okay.
well, and to
No.
that end, I mean, if we know we're going to do a lying one, we can figure that out later. The other one, I, would like to stick by either aloof or grand/grandiose.
I do like Grand.
Because even if he's not fancy, he's gonna pretend like he's fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like grand is getting there. Like, I'm wondering if there's a better word. Pomp? Or
Pomp.
Pompous is great for
Pompous
him.
is really good.
pompous, yeah. I feel like I need a thesaurus.
Yep, I looked it up real quick.
Well, the good news is Pompous is a character trait in the list.
What was there? I feel like there were some
Resolute
other
is a
good
nice
ones.
one.
Opulent.
No.
If
You
you
don't
had
actually
the
have the
means
money,
for
is
it.
the
Romantic?
Ugh, no.
No.
Remember when he tore up Ezra's prized,
Yeah.
childhood brother
True.
thing?
He's abusive.
Yeah, maybe abusive.
Dangerous, I feel like captures
Oh, okay,
abusive.
yeah. How did you get dangerous?
I'd like to sub in...
It comes in with
Extortionist or blackmailer, whatever your life path
probably,
was.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I would like to sub in dangerous and use, psychotic significant other instead.
Manipulative?
Yes.
Manipulative. That's a good one.
Manipulative is really good.
Pompous synonyms: self-important, domineering, overbearing. I don't like these.
I like all of these four.
Pretentious, haunty, egotistic.
Haughty.
Haughty. Yeah.
No, I'm haunted.
That's not a synonym of pompous.
Uppity.
Yes. Well,
Puffed up.
Puffed up.
I hate it.
I like manipulative a lot.
Like a puffin.
I almost like manipulative more than compulsive liar.
Mm-hmm. Because he wasn't compulsively lying. He was always doing stuff to get what he liked to progress him or his family.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I would.
Yeah. I mean, manipulative makes sense.
Let's face it, like puppet master.
No.
Nice try. I also saw power behind the throne. Not happening.
No.
Yeah, I would vote manipulative and. Oh my gosh, what were some of the things on your thesaurus?
Pompous?
I liked a lot of them.
Yeah, I feel like we had more than this.
Well, they
I
all were
mean,
sort of just like related to
They
lying.
were. They were.
It went flamboyant, lying, lying, narcissistic, grandiose.
Oh, aloof is
Oh,
good.
narcissistic.
No, but we
But he's
decided
not
it's not
narcissistic.
narcissistic.
Right. That it was more
I mean, I think he is a little.
synonym of.
Mama's boy. That was a good one.
That was a fun one. Totally unintentional.
Like,
I think something with
Manipulative
family
and
would be
mama's
really
boy?
good, yeah.
family first. I mean, you could just make a trait called family first.
I do like family first.
It was really only his mom. He didn't care about Victorio until after
that-
the
His spell
magic
messed up.
thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which, okay, sure. So the spell messed up.
We could do Mother Knows Best.
That's pretty decent. I think manipulative and
I don't
domineering
know
is
if
such
he
a fun
listened to
combination.
his mother that much. Like, his mother listened to him more, almost.
Oedipal. I still like Oedipal.
That's kind of got a nasty connotation.
Yeah.
I'll go back to grandiose because it's impressive and imposing in appearance, especially pretentiously so. That covers so much at once.
We need 3 traits for Venus.
Right.
No.
Oh, why is this so hard?
I like manipulative. I like aloof. I
I
like.
actually like manipulative. I still think compulsive liar is more close to the truth. Like, you were manipulative.
But he would tell the truth when it suited him.
Yeah.
That's why I would argue manipulative over compulsive liar.
I do like grandiose as well. I like pompous. Because that's
Okay.
sort of along with compulsive, like he lies himself up.
Of course. Yeah.
I think it should be I can't say it anymore. Manipulative. That was
Got it.
rough. And grandiose, or manipulative and mama's boy.
I would vote manipulative and grandiose.
I would also vote that. So that's good.
Nice.
That's what it is.
Not the worst.
Not the worst.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
much
think it's way worse for
on,
Venus.
on point.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't have these already.
Should have had him from the
Alright.
get-go.
We need to get rid of some.
Yes. So, let's see. For Alphonse, what you wanted to get rid of lavish taste.
And it's only Alphonse and Abby can recommend ones.
Yeah, I would recommend getting rid of lavish taste and maybe even geometric. If we go back and look, geometric does
it
give
have-
you it does have a thing, and it's about one page back. Yes.
Do we get to vote still, Logan?
If Abby recommends it, it has to be unanimous. If John recommends it,
I think
Like, I
this is
want to
okay. You
keep it.
could have used it.
it's just
Yeah.
You just didn't.
half. I
Sure.
think.
But I don't think it's untrue.
Okay. Especially
Like-
with engineering as a skill.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Cool.
So I think that's fine. You can't. I think lavish taste makes sense to get rid of though,
Cool.
because
Yep, that's-
Alphonse never imposed that.
I agree.
Where's gray out of choice?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I'm attempting to get rid of. And it sounds like I have 2 of 3 votes that I need.
Yeah, I'm willing to get rid of it.
Cool. that was it. That's all I cared to get rid
Cool.
of.
For, let's see, Mia, I guess? Do you have any that you
Sure.
don't want?
I think Folksy Wisdom was more like a role-playing issue. Like, there's just no way I could have role-played that. I'm so bad. I would have
Yeah.
been terrible. The only other thing I don't like is that both Disturbed and a little Crazy, they just read as the same thing to me, so I can't stand them.
I mean, I would pick a little Crazy over Disturbed.
I would also. I don't know
Yeah.
that she's necessarily disturbed.
She doesn't have any like past trauma, I don't think.
Well, I mean, I could switch it around. I have listed under them that Disturbed was the whole zoning out and seeing and hearing things, and then a little Crazy was supposed to be touch of dead wood that we stopped doing immediately.
Because I feel like a little Crazy captures what you have listed for Disturbed.
Yes.
Right, exactly. So I could get rid of Disturbed and just move the zoning out thing.
Yeah.
to
I
a
think
little
that's
Crazy.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. I will do that then.
And for Venus, I don't really. I mean, Hard-Hearted just never came up, so I never had a chance to use it, but I don't think it's. Like, he would use it if it ever came up.
Yeah.
Sure.
Misunderstood, meh. I don't know. And then. Passionate? He's pretty passionate.
Yeah.
Forced Smile, I also don't know.
I mean, it came up a couple of times.
You used it a couple times, but
I mean,
Like-
all of them, like, fit.
I think misunderstood is the least accurate.
Yes.
We don't have to get rid of one.
No. Misunderstood is the least fitting to you, I think, primarily because you lie about a lot of things or are
I think
dishonest about a lot of things in character.
yeah. The thing with misunderstood would mean that other people see you and like perceive you as someone who is misunderstood.
Right.
And I don't think that's how other people perceive you.
No.
Especially when we just gave you grandiose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would vote no, so you all have to agree to get rid of it.
I would get rid of it.
Misunderstood?
Yeah.
I would get rid of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye-bye,
well,
misunderstood.
You were holding out for it, but it hit the chopping block.
All right, so that's the trait vote. So if we ever come back to these characters, you guys can have fun new traits. Hopefully we do. That would be fun, I think.
It would be fun.
Yeah, revisit them in like 5 years after or something. Be wild. So for the rest of the system check, and I don't know, we'll make this pretty quick so you can head out, Sean.
I have like 30 minutes.
Okay. But I just want to kind of chat about like what we liked about the system, things that we think went well, what you would do differently as players, what I would do differently as a GM, like what your... I think the first question I want to start off with was like, what was your favorite moment, or like what was your favorite thing about this campaign? And this is for all of you.
About the campaign or about the
About
system?
both. Either.
Favorite thing about the system for me is that there's so much more freedom for the GM and the players in terms of, you know, you do a roll and then so what, right?
Yeah.
With other systems, it feels very methodical. You do this, that means this. And with Burning Wheel, it was much more of a, okay, you failed your roll, but only by a little bit, so, you know, you trip or something, versus you just don't make it.
Right.
And I know a lot of that could be just narrative style of GM, but I think this system makes it a lot easier because it's a necessity.
Yeah. I agree with that. From like DMing D&D versus this is so much easier because I'm not constrained to something that's been designed either by me or by somebody else. It's just like we're just doing it on the fly, and like we roll circles and then there's a new person, and who are they? Who knows? And I really like that. Like it makes it a lot, it sounds more difficult, but I think it's a lot easier to jump in and GM it that way, because you just, whatever comes to mind first, you just go with, instead of having to remember all of these different things.
Right.
I did.
Yeah, I think
Go ahead.
My favorite was the Artha system. Oh, I think you got attacked by an animal.
Yeah.
The Arthur system, yeah.
Yeah, the Artha
pretty cool.
system I think is just incredibly elegant in some ways. In the fact that you have all these resources, it helps to make it feel like you can potentially succeed at any role. Like there are options to make sure you will succeed.
Yeah.
Kind of the flip side to that, though, was really frustrating was that sometimes, even if you did try to stack everything in your favor, you could still fail miserably, which felt really crappy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like when I spent all that time trying to make a spell work to turn Venus into a frog, or when I did a bunch of stuff to try and get the Destroy with Sorcerer's Fire to work.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where you prep for a high moment and then you fail.
I think those moments make some of the more interesting moments in the storytelling too.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of glad that that is a feature, although I'm sure it is very frustrating to be the player.
I mean, that would be, so I guess my positive, I love how it rewards role-playing, like concretely. So that sort of ties in with the Arthur system. Especially like the Duel of Wits is like my favorite thing in the world. That was like I love Duel of Wits in this campaign. Fabulous rules. I love them. I would do an entire campaign that's Duel of Wits. But then again, like what Sean said, like casting a spell was so hit or miss. Like it could be like in the last session when I was rolling like 9s and 10s on things versus when I would try and do something ob2 and I would get 0, and it's like, okay,
That's ridiculous.
And part of that could be because we chose to do art magic. I don't know enough about the other system to really know
I think
either
regular
way.
magic still runs into the same problem. Yeah.
So like it does help narrative, like it makes a fun story, but it is frustrating as a player.
Yeah.
And that goes back to my comment on the variation, right? Like in a lot of systems, you're not as concretely punished for failure, and here it's like actions have consequences. But that's also how you advance your character.
It does make Magic feel like a wild system. So like if that's the tone you want to go for, I feel like you have to establish that at the beginning. It's like in my mind, it's like, okay, I'm at a magic school, I should be able to do simple magic, but there's still a chance that I couldn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas if it was just like I'm discovered magic and I'm in a village where there's no one else, like yeah, it's going to be dangerous for me to do really anything.
Sure.
I feel like that was just a mismatch between the system and like what I had expectations coming into the campaign.
And I think but I think that also applies to other things. Like, you know, you I think had maxed out magic. Like 6 is the highest your magic could get. But it's very easy to need to cast a spell that suddenly goes over 6. And you start to be very unlikely to cast the spell the second it's like ob 4.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, and that applies to persuasion. That applies to any other, you know, skills.
Part of that is also leveraging life paths and Artha to shade shift, right?
But
Like, if
shade
you
shifting takes so long.
It does.
Yeah. Or you can do it in the beginning, but then you suck at whatever you shade shifted.
Right, yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
That is like my other big, not even complaint, just like I personally find it frustrating is I love the sheer number of skills, but I also hate the sheer number of skills.
I'm more on the sheer hate of
Because it's like, it's so interesting, like, oh wow, I can be so good at all of these things, but like, when the heck am I ever even going to use, like, I'm not going to put points into something.
Illumination.
Like, yeah.
I never used weaving.
That's trash.
Or like insect husbandry, like, wow, that's great flavor. I'm never going to pick that as a skill.
Unless your campaign revolves around
But what
Insect
I struggle
husbandry.
to think of a campaign idea that would revolve around insect husbandry.
And like I feel like forking really helps with that. Like you can fork things into other stuff, but I still feel like there's maybe 10 or 15 core skills
Yeah.
that you
That they
need.
could be.
And if you don't have one, then it just feels like you can't do something
Like
that
a
a
social
normal
skill,
person
yeah.
could do.
Yeah, like not having persuasion is despicable.
Yeah.
That said, the ability to train skills, like, yeah, it sucks to have to do 10 rolls before you have it, but then when you have it, you know, it's based on what your stats are.
It starts pretty high.
Yeah, so that's nice.
Except for you're going to fail most of those, and failing is a significant
Traumatic.
thing. So
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a rough balance sometimes.
But
I mean, I like having all the skills. That doesn't bother me as much. What bothered me a little bit was this is coming back again to the high rate of failure, like the high chance of failure, I guess, is that you totally have, and this comes back to the metagaming aspect of Burning Wheel, is that you have to, we were like, okay, how am I going to win this roll? I'm going to fort. I'm going to go patiently. I'm going to spend Artha. I'm going to name the spell. So then you have to do all this math, keep track of it, make sure you're remembering all the rules you can get on your side just to try and win. Like it took us 15 minutes to cast a spell sometimes.
Yeah.
And that could be on...
Which really destroys the pacing.
Yeah.
That could be on playstyle too, though, is we, as a group, I feel, don't enjoy failure, whereas if we were much more open to a chaotic kind of
And
plot,
just rolling with it.
yeah. And so I think that's kind of how we were gaming the system.
And I guess this is one of my other big things is I don't know how you would fix it, but I don't really like it. Like earning a persona is a big deal, but spending a persona feels like nothing. Like I spend it and I roll a 3, great. Like
You spent it, for a 50% chance to fail.
for nothing. Like it's like okay, it's gone. Whereas like I feel like you should spend a persona and like you just get a success. Like that's a small benefit, but it doesn't feel like I wasted something that I worked hard to get. And it's not even like wasted. It just feels really bad.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I agree. I think I mentioned this one time when we were playing. It feels like there should be some kind of resource that lets you like auto succeed on a roll. I mean, that's powerful, but if you had limited access to it, you know, like I think the Fate system has something like that.
Yeah.
What they call luck, and you just automatically succeed on whatever you tried to do.
Or like linked tests that you could like extend over a period of time to like prepare for something. But like I feel like the magic rules are very, and I think this might fall under more art magic, but like you can't really get any benefits on your spells other than like what we've discussed so far. And you still have such a high rate of failure. But like if you're going and studying and like practicing the spell, maybe you should be able to get more bonuses, but as it's written, like you just can't do it that way.
Yeah, it's hard. And I think, John, you hit on something, is that we're all very maybe controlling in our playstyle. So we are very, like, fail phobic.
Risk averse.
And I will admit that completely. I hate that. So on the one hand, I like that Burning Wheel lets you do all this stuff to try and avoid failure. But then the fact that it still happens just rips my heart out. On it.
All you want to do is sit around a computer and an RP. It's just improv. No dice.
That's what Logan wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I love about the system is that it does let you do that, and it also rewards you for it.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. We basically had a campaign with almost no combat.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like D&D technically does, like with advantage and all that, or the inspiration, but I don't think I've ever had inspiration actually given out. Whereas this is like the whole system is built around getting your Artha, which you can only get
if you play a character.
by playing a character. And I really like that.
That's why the Artha system, I think, is so elegant.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I was Venus, not like I was Logan playing Burning Wheel caster number 3. Like,
Yeah.
Sure.
That makes sense.
That's part of it too, though. Like, we're not classes in this. We have gone through certain life paths, but that's all part of the character building process. So it's a lot harder to be typecast as, all three of us were magic users, but it wasn't like we had 3 wizards, if we're going back to, comparing to D&D, or a wizard, a warlock, and a sorcerer. Like, it's just very much more flavorful.
yes.
Yeah, I do like the life path system. I think it's really interesting.
The whole last third of the book, though, is a doozy. Like, if you want to use any sort of combat,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you need to read the rules like 8 times.
At least.
Google
Yeah.
all the things you think you understand, because you probably don't.
Do at least a few test runs.
Yeah.
Do a few test runs,
Oh,
and then still be able to just wing it as you go, because if you stop and try and read the rules as you're going, you're going to get so bogged
Lost.
down.
that was going to be a major complaint of mine. As someone who's much more casually into, the tabletop RPG thing, it's much more intimidating and much harder to get motivated to learn all of those things, right? So even if at the end of the day, I could have fixed me stumbling about, like, what should I be rolling right now? The perception is that it's much harder than it is. And that's a major roadblock, I think, to get more people into it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if you get the fight rules and all of these supplemental rules down, like, I'm sure it's super elegant. Like, Duel
Yeah.
of Wits was so overwhelming going into it, but like once you get into it and you sort of understand the rules,
It's not bad at all.
it sort of just rolls as you're going. And if you hit like a small little hiccup of a rule, it's pretty easy to just jump over it and keep going.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Venus never actually fought, so I have no idea.
You didn't have any
Yeah,
fighting
true.
skills.
Which is why I think we're hoping to do another Burning Wheel that's maybe a little more fight centric.
Yeah.
Just so
More
we can
so like
explore
Lord of the Rings adventuring party kind of
a little bit more
feel.
dungeon
Yeah.
delving.
And maybe maybe that's better in like Torchbearer or something. I don't know.
True.
So I think Torchbearer kind of streamlines it even more, but it's on a similar vein. Like they're by the same company.
It is a little confusing because I feel like it's a very roleplay heavy game, but then it also has the most intense rules for fight I've ever read. So it's like,
Exactly.
where's
Well-
the bridge between these two?
Yeah.
Right. That comes back to my the cognitive dissonance of you have to metagame to get the roles that you want, but then the Arthur system is all about forgetting about rules and pretending you're in the world.
Right.
So it's like, I think the game does a good job trying to balance it, but you do have to sort of be prepared for that whiplash of like, can I wear these hats really fast? Can I be Mia, and then can I come back and be Sean and be like, how am I going to make Mia succeed?
See,
Right,
and I think
yeah.
if you're not focused on getting a character to succeed at all costs, it's probably easier. But for us, that is a big hiccup. And I'm sure, like, this was our first campaign, but if we played again now, like, even from the get-go, I'd have more understanding even when I'm building my
Yeah.
character.
Yes. Yeah.
So I wouldn't pick falsehood, persuasion, extortion, and blackmail. I would probably be more spread out, and then I could do more things.
Yeah, I would have definitely made sure I had persuasion to start.
Yeah.
Persuasion and stealth. Yeah.
That was my next question. Is there anything that you would have done differently, like from the get-go with your characters? And did you like art magic? Like, did you think that that was a good fit for us?
I loved art magic, with the caveat of sometimes it's so expensive to do the smallest thing.
Yeah.
What feels like, the smallest thing. And then you can only get one help, from your other players.
My big complaint, though, is illusion is on a group of people, not on yourself. So if I want to turn invisible, I have to...
An illusion is so complicated.
It's like that.
Yeah, illusion is
They
very
need to tone down illusion, but otherwise art magic, primo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like art magic.
Well, and it goes back to what Logan was saying earlier, right? Like, if we're in our campaign, we were at a magic school, so it feels like some of these things should be, even if they're hard, they should be doable. But if one of these things is your last school or your last skill, whatever, it is impossible. Like,
Yeah.
I will
I
say...
think there's a better way to do that.
Advantage is a pretty lame school. Like, it's pretty useful, but it's not fun.
Yeah.
Lame,
It's just
but yeah,
like-
so good.
It's just like the meta game school.
Well, and then you see,
It's like, okay, I need to do good on this, so let me just cast another spell real quick.
Did you ever?
So
You had
did you-
resistance too, and you never cast that, right? Or not resistance.
Hinder.
Hinder. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I had
it's so
Hinder as, like,
hard
one.
to hinder somebody, and it's still like that opens up two options of I cast a spell and fail, consequence, and
Right.
I cast it on them and they still succeed. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like they have two chances to undo it.
Mm-hmm.
So no, it never came up. Also, I never just fought anybody, but
That too.
Except for the end. You did the biggest fight.
Yeah,
I did.
the most important fight of all.
something like that.
Yeah, and I like Wises though. I think that's
Yeah.
cool.
That's cool.
I think we had trouble using it.
I
maybe.
agree.
But the idea that you can open a Wise for anything, and then the whole idea is that the players create the world then with the
Yeah.
Wise.
I do like that
is
idea. I feel
pretty
like we
awesome.
didn't
That's
do it
cool.
all that. We didn't use
We
it
used
as
it
much
a
as
couple
we could.
times, but yes.
And I think the problem is we kind of talked about we had a lot of things that were spread out. If this were a very focused campaign from the very start, we would know which things we needed to get those Wises in. We would be making those rolls a lot more often and to make those actual skills instead of skills and training.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible it was kind of the wrong campaign maybe for intro level characters. Maybe our situation should have been smaller, like a small town rather than an entire city.
yeah.
I feel like this would work really well with like 3 or 4 locations, and if you're going between the locations, you just
You just go.
gloss over it. So it's like very focused, and that way if you introduce a character, it's a pretty big deal. So like circles really comes up.
Circles, man.
I love circles.
Circles.
Also one of my
It's-
favorite mechanics.
And relationships.
I think actually
It's
one
cool.
of my favorites.
Until we failed circling the admiral and we couldn't get anything done. And we had to resort to breaking and entering instead.
I'm fine with that.
Granted,
It
that was
worked
one of my
out.
favorite scenes,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
and I think maybe that's something I run into as a player. I develop plans and I look for ways to make sure they happen. And I have trouble if I get stopped in that. I have a hard time like coming up with a creative alternative. And I know you're very good at that, Logan. So it's this is a good system, I think, for you because you always had creative alternatives. But the minute I get stopped, it takes me like 5 minutes to come up with something else.
Even longer for me. Hence,
Yeah.
sitting at Mr. Agosto's house for literally hours in game and literally 10 minutes out of game. So, like, yeah, definitely rewards the creative. And
Yeah, the quick thinker.
The creative and the bold
bold.
and
True.
those who are not risk averse.
Yep.
Exactly. You do have to. That would be my next thing. If I were to play again, I would take bigger risks. But they're so scared.
You just like towards the end when we got into that big moves, like
Yep.
that's when I had the most fun by making the big moves.
Yep.
Because I just stopped caring about failure because I was like, Venus, terrible person. Who cares? It's something that happens. But
And it was one of those things. We knew the campaign was wrapping up, and if we failed, whatever.
yeah. So going in, I would just try to like
Start with
consciously
that.
be less risk averse.
I will
And
say
I
it's
guess-
very fail forward too. Like
Yeah.
you guys are scared of failure, but every time you failed, it just made an interesting story. Like you were
Except
okay.
with magic, because magic could be really bad. Like
but when was magic that bad?
Like, it gave us the plot.
there was a
point.
chance where I could have died.
That's true.
If you'd made me take like a fort test for that transform spell I messed up, I probably could.
See, but that's I never wanted to do that
And
because
that-
fort is so boring. Like,
It is
why
boring.
would you do that?
And that's like GM choice, too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's the thing is there's a lot of GM trust involved too. You have to know like what the tone your GM wants to set, like what their consequences are more likely to be, how devastating they'll be, what are the stakes for your campaign. And I think, this was my first time playing with Abby, so I don't necessarily know her play style. And it was also all of ours first time doing Burning Wheel, so I think that maybe affected the nervousness a little too, because I had no idea when Abby was gonna plunge a dagger into my heart.
Yep.
Usually I don't do that. So.
I did.
Usually
that.
she
I was the
doesn't.
only one to do that.
Except don't listen to her because last night she ruined me in a game. So
Board games are different. Sean.
Board game Abby is a different type of Abby. I will, like, my final note on the game is this came back. This was a problem I had a lot with us. Is like, if you're gonna play in a bigger open world, you need a cohesive group.
Yeah.
So like, we all, and it was not bad because our characters were feeling how they should be, but like, there was nothing holding like Alphonse and Venus together,
Yeah.
other than we're both players in the same campaign.
Right.
Whereas, so like, you need that in a larger open world campaign, but if you play in like a smaller one, I've seen where there's like, they're in a building and pretty much all the scenes happen in this building, and there's very rarely scenes with two people. That's fine because they're going to interact with each other more, and so it's fine. But like, I'm not just gonna run into Alphonse in the middle of the city and be like, "Hey," like,
even though we made that happen,
we made
because
it happen because it had to happen.
Right.
So that's just
Yeah,
also,
that
I
was
guess,
pretty rough.
that would, going into a new campaign, definitely your group needs a cohesive, overarching, this is why they're together.
Which is kind of interesting because I think D&D does try to do that. Or
This is a struggle with all RPGs though. Like
yeah, I guess all
characters
RPGs.
never get along as well as you want them to,
Right.
and then you're just sad.
Yeah.
I guess Dungeon World tries to do that with the bonds.
Yeah.
So
But
it's
not
like
all of the bonds are positive either.
Right.
right. But at least you're still like tied to each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. There's got to be some sort of solution.
And you'll have to
Right.
figure it out in Blades in the Dark because
Well, we are gonna figure it out in Blades.
We're gonna be so chaotic, Sean.
My favorite.
Do you have any last words, John? Last thoughts?
I don't think so. I think overall it was really fun, but like I said, it's not easy to break into. And so this
not
is
your beginner RPG.
No. And so I think that's my biggest
Yeah.
thing with it.
I don't think I have any. I really enjoyed it. It was really, really fun to run. And I'm excited to hopefully play it someday. Because I think it'll be so different from the player side. Like, so different.
I would recommend probably toning back the magic because we got very magic focused and magic is very dangerous. But like, if you're playing just a roleplay type, I'm sure this system really excels.
Yeah.
Not the most, like, you don't play this system if you want to be like a big grand wizard
No.
in your tower because you're going to fail and then your fort's going to be awful and you're going to die in your tower in scene 1.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to play this game if you want to be invincible in any sort of way, like
In
the
any
invincible
way.
fighter, the
Emotionally,
invincible wizard.
physically, spiritually, you're going to suffer in all categories.
I mean, you're not supposed to be heroes, right? You're
Which is-
supposed to be just people. Like, you
True.
can be a blacksmith in Burning Wheel and be fine.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's part of the beauty of it is that you can be just regular people who are doing these things. And then also, I think it is one of the best systems maybe for like role-playing, non-combat based campaigns. I mean, there's so many skills to choose from. And Duel of Wits is like combat for talking.
Definitely very important to have a very fully fleshed out session 0.
Yeah.
We did, but we probably need like to double what we talked
Yeah.
about.
Right.
I think we did good, but it would have been even better if I had more to go on.
Mhm.
Because I made up a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But it was fun. I mean, setting up the world was half the fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a good time. Cool. Anybody have any final thoughts?
No.
Otherwise, we'll wrap up.
I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10.
That's what I was thinking.
I'd go 8. I think it's more fun from the GM perspective, probably.
That's good because, you know, a lot of games are not always fun to GM.
Yeah. I
So-
always had a good time.
Good.
Good.
So, yeah. All right. So, we will sign off here. Thanks for watching and watch the Twitter for our next games. We'll post there. See ya.